Hi, I'm Maxim Nartov, and thank you for inviting me to present on this AfricaCom. What we're going to talk today about is about the way what is the best approach to deliver the digital transformation. I think it's a very hot topic on the current market, and a lot of the companies are already doing this or in the process of thinking about digital transformation, but I want to give you a little different angle on the process itself and how it should be set up in order to understand how to balance the quick wins that is required for the business on the path to the digital future, and the long-term strategy that all the company facing in order to become a digital provider in a few years. If you look into the digital transformation itself, obviously the original choice is to have a complex all-in-one project where you're doing the full cycle of the transformation within the company, not only talking about the IT systems, but about the whole company, because going digital doesn't just change your system. It's all about the way how you change the approach, how you change the ways of working, how your personnel start thinking about new ways to serve the customer, new ways to deliver the value, and so on and so forth. So usually the digital transformation project require quite a long cycle, starting from the preparation and alignment, understanding what is the digital future of your company, how you see yourself in the digital world, and then going through a lot of cultural things and in a way, how do you want your company to act? But then it also goes more to IT systems when the people spending a lot of time about design and architecture. When people start thinking how we do best design possible, what systems do we need, what changes do we need, both on a business layer and infrastructure layer. And here you come to very long process, and sometimes it actually goes to over-engineering or over-design, because obviously when you're thinking about long-term strategy, a lot of the people start thinking about, I should go to the future-proof architecture, I should select a lot of the technologies. And after that, the whole story comes to the vendor selection. And the RFPs we see usually takes quite a long time, because there is no single vendor who is perfect in everything, and the more ideas you bundle into the selection process, the longer it takes. So at the end of the day, it slows down the transformation itself, because during the selection process and during the pretty long rollout cycle, the businesses keep moving. They cannot wait until you complete the particular step. So after that, industry comes with the different options how to speed up the transformation. One of the natural choices was always to go more on experience layer. So when you're changing approach just to experience, you adding new digital channels, you adding the omni-channel capabilities, but at the end of the day, and opening up the system for the silos, for additional services coming from partners, coming from the ecosystem. This is a very good selection because it helps you to deliver results very fast. The question is that after that, you are ending up with a kind of very complex integration layer. And as a long-term strategy, you're coming to the situation when adding a new product, adding a new capabilities after the set of those MVP and selected use cases delivery, becoming even more complex than it was before, because the core systems you have, if you focus on just on the layers, the core system you have in your charging system, your billing system, your revenue management, stays within the previous era. And as you need to know to add additional product, you add in both still changing in the same way those legacy system where it's possible, and changing the digital layer. So this approach helps you to have quick wins, but at the end of the day, it's end up to be a little bit in the integration mess. So I think more practical approach and what we see in some companies is actually adding additional digital business lines. So if you want to launch the digital products, you add in a new unit that will work only on those products. It helps because it helps very fast to change the mentality of the people who work in this unit. So if you, for example, a traditional incumbent operator, multi-service operator, adding a mobile line as an MVNO, as a separate unit, or adding a special set of products as a separate unit for the people addressing different audience, for example, the young audience who is more perceptive from the fact of the digital features, or adding this traveler specs and so on, really helps. And once again, if it's a small unit, if it's a new formed unit, that you can have people who are digitally thinking from the day one. Obviously, the issue is that having a lot of those separate silos also doesn't really make your IT architecture simpler. You need to think how to move the core business to the new platform at some point of time, because you get your quick win, you're starting fast, you're starting with something complete, but still you need to make sure you consolidate all the business in a future-proof platforms. That's why one of the key questions I think now facing between the teams who are doing the digital transformation is really how to deliver the business result as soon as possible, not make business waiting for the completion of a particular stage or another step of the transformation, but still will they keep complexity in a manageable way. Do not really increase the complexity as you add new layers and new capabilities. And in this case, it's very important to start with a platform approach. So you are not just doing additional features on top, you are not dropping things here and there. It's very important to have a single consolidated platform, because time to market, actually, we are all looking for, and which is one of the drivers for the digital transformation, comes from the simplicity. It doesn't come from the complexity. Any additional layer of complexity increases it and impacting the time to market in a negative way. That's why what we think is very important in this process is really from the day one to have a solid foundation in the revenue management area, in the way you get the money from your consumers, in the way you charge for those services, in order to prevent those additional migrations and additional complexities when you're trying to set up a new products. So your team who is working on the digital area would be more possible to focus on the consumer features, on experience features of those products without having a headache about how I will make my 10 years old prepaid platform charge for cloud services. And that's also focusing on the foundation from the day one will help you to prevent additional re-engineering and over-engineering that comes if you go use case by use case, because it's very easy to create an MVP of a single process or a single product that will go smoothly, especially if you're speaking about the MVP, because in this case, the products are quite simple. But after that, when you come into the more complex reality, you need to make sure your foundation, your core systems is ready to deliver those capabilities. And if you look into the other way, the experience the customers is gaining, your consumers is gaining, is actually coming still from the same core, because it doesn't matter how beautiful is your website in a telecom space. It's very important that those capabilities are delivered on time, stable, and without any mistakes or disruptions, because we are not kind of the true digital providers who can easily say, okay, I have 20% failure rate, but it doesn't matter. Customer can re-log in on my site and continue the service. The telecommunication industry was actually always famous, and people demanded to be stable and reliable. Doesn't matter what is going on, I still want to play this call, and it's especially important in a situation when something is going wrong, right? And in this case, that's why the stable core is actually a key for a performance and the success of this part of the transformation, the performance and the success of your business, which I think something we are all going for. But the very important thing, it's obviously in this case, we cannot spend years in delivering those platforms. Once again, business doesn't allow us to wait. We have an example with one of our customers when we started the project in a greenfield approach. So the idea was that we are sitting together and building the future-proof system, and after that we will start migrating people on this. But at some point of time, business people came to us and said, okay, guys, we have a new cool idea of the new product. What we will do? Should we do it on a legacy system together on a new system, or we should start the sales as soon as possible? And obviously, if you don't want to over-budget your digital transformation, you cannot allow yourself to have the product launches on two platforms, understanding that the legacy platform doesn't give you enough flexibility. That's why we started the sales very quickly, and after that, we do a lot of very complex migration approach when we not only migrated the customers on a phased approach chunk by chunk, but we also did on-demand migration. So as soon as the customer comes to the office and wants to buy a new product, he automatically migrated to the new system. This was a very expensive exercise, but it works for us and it worked for our customer. But obviously, you need to understand that it raises the complexity of the whole transformation process. Because in this case, you actually start to continue updating the engine of the car that is running 80 miles per hour through the highway. You could imagine, you can do it. And I remember the very first planes, for example, there was a capability for engineer to go over the rim and fix the engine as they fly. But now in digital era, when everything is so fast and we are flying not the propelled planes, but the jets, you cannot do it. So you need to think from the day one how this core will support you and avoid additional changes in those core during the course of the transformation. So having this in mind, we also should consider the changes we see in the market recently in the last year. Obviously, everybody of us feels the impact of the COVID, but if you go into the transformation process itself, it creates some additional limitations because obviously you cannot afford to build a wider team of the global scale, bringing a lot of people from a different vendor side or system integrator side. You cannot have the people working in one room for weeks and months. So we need to understand how to do this transformation process as remote and as smooth as possible, even without having the people in the same ground all the time. Obviously, another impact from the COVID came from the fact that many of our customers and many of telecom operators already understood that you cannot completely rely on outside support to do your daily business. You need to have a better ownership of the platforms you are using. You need to be able to develop and move forward with them yourself in order to avoid the situation when due to lockdown, due to travel restrictions, something gets moving slowly. And obviously, the COVID itself and the situation with the lockdowns come to the quest that you need to have the system, again, sustainable and reliable, both in the design and development part, but also in daily operations. The system should be completely open for you, and you need to understand how to operate it together with the vendor, how to do it mostly remotely, or how to do it yourself with a local expertise. Having this in mind, we actually come to the idea of a new approach to delivering the digital transformation for the cases when our customers or prospect customers are not really, doesn't want to go into too lengthy project of the full transformation. Once again, we have the customers who go in this way, and we are quite successfully working with them, but the idea is, and we see this demand coming for something quick, instant, and go in a few months, but still being a good foundation for the transformation, which may be especially interesting for the market where there are a lot of legacy systems coming from 10 to 15 years ago that cannot be just wrapped around and connected to the digital world. They need to be changed, especially in the market, which is more, that now was actually heavily invested, like markets related to the prepaid customers. When you have solid network-grade piece of equipment called the prepaid platform, and now it's just it's not digital enough. You cannot put additional services on it without a major upgrade, changing the hardware, changing the lengthy project, which is actually very difficult in the current situation where everything is restricted and there are now not too much free movement. That's why we come with the idea to, as a kickstart for the digital transformation with a solid core, as I said, with something quick and simple. We created, we updated our BSS solution for prepackaged solution, prepackaged offering based on a predefined set of processes, based on predefined set of options we see very common across the different markets. And now we come to something that could be installed in a 4 months time frame and could actually replace a legacy system for the full cycle. All set of business processes started from a customer management and ending up with a full set of revenue management, but also we make this solution, as I said, as a good foundation for the future transformation because it's quite easy. After the first project is launched and business start to harvest the benefits of the new system for its reliability of the new options and product categories is bringing, it could be extended further to additional components, easily added modules, for example, for handling postpaid customers, for handling debts and data collection, to add additional layer on the processes and related to the complex products. But what actually more important, the solution we are building is really open. Our idea was to avoid as much as possible the vendor lock-in. That's why we deliver a solution with a full set of engineer-level training that could help people to understand how to operate the system and more importantly, how to build something more complex on top of it. So you see all the, you have all the access to the data of the system. You have extensive set of APIs. You have a lot of tools to extend the capabilities and add additional functions. But also it comes together with our best practice. We actually deploy it together with a little team that teach and guide our customers how to move forward, what capabilities they can have, and how they can develop. The solution itself is based on our quite sustainable product that already showed some of the quite successful figures. For example, we have example when just deploying the product in itself increase the revenue for the customers by 10%. And because of better management of the products, because of the more reliable rating and charging, because of better control of the customer spending and better ways to communicate to them. And that's why we believe even this 4-month solution will help us. But as I said, it's very important not only to start with understanding how it's going, but it's also very important to see how transparent the process itself, how do you receive the value from this solution, and how you or your local partners or people you're working with, how they can develop solution to become a truly digital platform of the future. What we are building, what we are focusing is a collaboration process, and that's actually help us to pave the way forward for this type of the solution, because as I said, it's completely open, so you could develop something on top of it, aside of it, and create quite a simple integrations without taking a lot of complexity, without trying to understand how to fit into very simple and restricted APIs. You have all the knowledge shared, and that's very important. You can train your team who can develop it themselves. You can help have your local partners or local system integrators or even global system integrators help you to design the system. That's why we say it's a very good position to choose between do-it-yourself approach and full vendor managed services that will be delivered by Nexign. And more importantly, it's very important that the product already has a few full capabilities. It's a full-scale BSS. It's not something restricted. It's not one product line product. It's not something like I'm launching it for the 5G and it's working, but for a previous set of technologies, it doesn't really apply. It's a complete product, but it started in a very quick start mode. The idea is that we kick off your transformation and then we continue together with you, or you can continue it by yourself. Basically, I think it's not necessary to build it based on Nexign products, but we are addressing this opportunity. But what I want you to take away from this presentation is a very simple fact. If you go to transform yourself, if you look into the ways to actually reach a new business or better understand and extend your customer base, you need to focus on a few things. You need to keep in mind the future complexity. So the choice you're making should be really based on understanding how the system will work in the future. It's very, very good to, from the day one, to look into the solid foundation in order to avoid issues that usually come with agile approach. Because agile approach is very good when you're moving forward. The problem is if you take it into the global transformation project, there is a big risk that going use case by use case will actually create a lot of complexities and spaghettis in the integration layer and a lot of changes that need to be re-engineered and redesigned. That's why we suggest to think ahead, but don't actually waste any time, because if you go for the 1 year of thinking and then for the 1 year of vendor selection, you're actually 2 years late for this transformation. So our suggestion is to start with something fast and easy to deploy, something like we propose in 4 months, and after that have a solid platform to extend and grow beyond those starting point. It's very important that the platform should allow you to do this. That's probably it. Thank you for your time. I hope I was able to communicate our ideas, and feel free to connect to me, ask additional questions if required, or connect to our team to see more news about our solutions and this instant approach. Thank you.